Hey, let's see if I can't make a little movie to try to help you unconfuse you when it comes to livery packs. Okay, when you're building a livery pack, you can be as simple as, in this case, over on the left is the X Cub that I did. It's blank, and this is available. I have a paint kit and it's a painter's toolbox and an updater. I haven't updated in a while, but it's available on two. That's got a whole bunch of stuff in there that can help painters. Anyways, this is the blank that I built for the X Cub, and it only deals with the Bear Tundra X Cub model. So I have the airplane blank, and then there's all these places where you see it says blank that you would put your name in there. Like, say, when I do something, if I say fire is going to be, or special ops or something like that, where it says blank, I'll just put SP or SPO for special ops or something like that. And then on the main, here where it says blank, I'll put special ops. I'll write it out or whatever be the case. Okay, so that give you an idea of how these blanks are set up. Each one of these has to have, they've got to be the same. So if you put SPO here, and you need SPO here, SPO here, some kits don't need or don't require a model or a panel. It just depends on how the developer has set up the kit, or not the kit, his product. Okay, in the aircraft CFG here, let's see. You darn it. Let's see. Go back. You see here everywhere it says blank. So model, that has to correspond perfectly. Where it says panel blank, if it says SPO here, it needs to be SPO over here. Same way, the texture, the name of the texture file has got to be, in this case it's blank. If you change this SPO, then it needs to change to SPO over here in the blank. And then if you go down through here, everywhere it says blank, you would need to put your name. So X Cub, the name of the aircraft is going to be Special Ops. So I would have to put in here X Cub Special Ops, Variation Special Ops, and then you can have your name here for creator. It doesn't matter. As far as the ATC, I've got X Cub 1. You could put whatever you want down there as long as it falls within, there's a certain number of spots here that it sees. It won't see any more or less than that. So that's one of the particulars. The rest of this, just leave as is. Like I said, wherever it says blank, this is a template. This would tell you where that you need to change information, and then always make sure you save it. I'm going to try to go back here. Okay, don't look at this yet. Now this, like I said, this is a simple one variant, has one texture file. All the textures that are needed for that aircraft are here. Thumbnails, so forth. Texture folder. It's quite simple. Everything needed for this aircraft, with the exception of this texture folder here, has to come from Azobo's main folder. That's why there's so many dashes here. There's 4 of them across there, because all of these come from Azobo's main files. There's nothing else used except for this last one down here where it says Azobo X Cub texture. That's coming out of here. Alright. Now I'm going to go here to let's see, let's close this out. I don't need this anymore. I'll close, stupid thing. Let's see, go to here. Okay, now here's more complicated, and when I say complicated, let me explain this. This center panel right here, in the early days, and I think it's still that way, if you go to not Cub Crafters, yeah, I lost my train of thought here. I'll go all the way. Bush League Legends. If you go to Bush League Legends and download their pack for the X Cub, you're probably going to see something similar to this right here. I'm going to open this up. This is my personal pack. Sim Objects. All right, here's all the variations and scenery packets and texture packets for that aircraft. Now this is quite complicated because it deals with, at that time, it's changed. I've got it adjusted since then, but each one of these has an Alpine variant, a cargo variant, a float variant, and then what they call floats because there was a difference in them. The NX Cub, skis, Tundra, and Tundra Cargo. Because Bush League Legends come out with their own variant that had the Tundra tires on it, and then he also did one that had a cargo pod under it. So that's why those two models are there. And then X-Cub itself come out with the NX. Bush League Legends did it first, and then a Zobo came back in later and did it, so Bush League removed his, and it no longer has a need for it. And then the Alpine, and I think the cargo is the standard too, but I can't remember. Anyways, if I was to go into any one of these, let's go into, let's say, floats. Now, in this particular model setup, the textures for the floats are contained in the main texture file. So I'll get to that in a minute. Here is the texture CFG file for any one of the models in the DA1 or DAL04 floats or DA04 variants. Okay, so this is the, if I can get this to move over here, I don't know why I can't get it to move. Come on, there we go. Okay, this is the texture CFG file. These are all what they call fallbacks or callbacks or whatever you want to call it. All right. When I told you before, there's 4 sets here. Dot, dot, dash, dot, dot, dash, dot, dot, dash, however you want to call it there. That's telling the setup, when it sets up this aircraft, to go all the way into the root files of a Zobo and pull out the details, the textures for this detail map, glass, interiors, so forth, textures, whatever textures that the developer of this livery didn't put in himself. Okay, now you drop down here and you see there's only 2 dot dot dash. Now this is going into it, both this one and this one both go into Carbon Prop's own setup, one of those being the Tundra tires, and another one is his actual textures that are used in this variant. Alright, you won't find all the textures here. What it's saying here is fallback, go outside of this package, those 2 dashes. If there's only 1 and a dash, it means there's textures within this package. Alright, so what it's telling it now is that you need to go out of this folder and you need to look in this main folder here for a texture folder that has the let's see, down here to textures, texture, there it is right there. To find this folder, now there's all the textures for that aircraft, that particular design. I don't remember what it looks like. I think they're in, the pictures are up into the main file. They won't have them in here. But this one also, does it or doesn't it? I don't think it does. No, there's no texture CFG file in here because it's not having to go anywhere else and look for anything. If you had to leave here and go back and look for something else somewhere else that I put it, then it might have a texture CFG contained within this, but these don't. The point is that I'm trying to make here is you can be as simple as this blank, or, and what do you want to bet that I closed out of that? I closed out of that. as you saw in the folder in the setup, there was a ton of models, different liveries, and each livery had its own texture folder that was outside of it, and that's what this texture CFG file does, is tells Microsoft where all that stuff is at. You can have this dash, I could have a space in here, and it will mess everything up because it looks at this, and if it goes to it and it can't find that, then when you open up in your main, open up Microsoft Flight Simulator, you might have that model, but it's going to have all them funny looking pink and checkerboarded textures in there because it can't find the main texture file. And about all the times that I've messed up and couldn't figure out why something's not been working, it's been in here, because either I have not enough dashes, or I've got too many, or I've misspelled, or I have put too many spaces in. It's that critical. This is more or less the beating heart of the whole system. So understanding that all these are is telling Microsoft where all this stuff is that it needs to assemble that model. Now, I'm going to close out of this. This is the Wilga. This is my Wilga setup. I don't have all their different models. I only wanted the 35A. I have to have that because that contains everything needed to build this airplane setup. I've got the H because the H is the floats, and then I have the X variant, the standard in the X variant, because that's what I wanted. The basic package, they're all the same. You need the sim objects, you need a layout. The manifest, I just copy the manifest over from whatever the main package has, and then I put in, I'm the creator of this livery, and I'll come up here where it says content type, and I'll just put in livery and my name for created, and I usually make sure that the package stuff complies with the, whoever made this originally. In that case, it's got friends, but and then you need this layout generator, and you're all set to go. When you go back into the sim objects, into airplanes, these are all the listings, and this is what I put in here because that's what I wanted. If I go to, let's see, do I have it under? No, I've got it in the community aircraft. If I go down to Got Friends Wilga and open up their sim objects, you'll notice there's the H, the P, the 80, the H, the P. I didn't need all that. I didn't want all that. So, and as far as sending out to somebody else saying, well, it doesn't have it for the 35P, well, I'm sorry. I built this livery. This is for me, and I don't need all that crap in there. So I'll close out of this. The 35 contains all the main stuff that's needed for all of these. So if you look in the 35, notice where I have my own name up here. I've got Special Ops 35A, and I think, what have I got for the name? Yeah, I got the same. 35A Spec Ops, and if I go in here, the texture is Spec Ops -35A, and if I go into my aircraft CFG, I've got it at just Spec Ops here, and then I had to fill in Spec Ops here, and let's see, I didn't, Spec Ops just here, and you see how I filled in the names where I called stuff. And that's what's cool about these, is they're all set up for you. All you got to do is go in and fill in your livery name. So you go back out of here. Now if I go into the Spec Ops 35 texture folder, it has all the stuff that's needed to assemble my version of the Spec Ops. But now if I go down here and let's see, do I have it in here? I don't know. I got to look. Let's see. All right, there's my thumbnails, so I had to get my thumbnails in there. And then I should have, yep, I do have a texture CFG. Now here on the texture CFG, it's telling it's telling MSF that you've got to go outside of my package, and you have to go to these places, Got Friends Wilga 35A, in their main package, and into their texture CZA and their texture PZL to get the information it needs for the other stuff. In this package, just need to go to the PZL because it's just going out one. Anyway, that gives you an idea of what's going on. Now, if you look in the H, and I go into the H, same deal. This texture folder tells me where the other information is. It's got to go to my texture folder and find the information, and then it goes out to the PZL texture folder and gets its other information. Again, with a CFG, you just make sure that all these are filled in to match whatever your file says here and whatever the aircraft name is here. That's all that has to be done. In fact, they got a do not touch below this. They don't want you to change anything here because it's all set up for you. I have done this before. If in some models you have to use the model, or if you want to get rid of the bureau numbers, you got to put a panel folder in there and you got to zero out those numbers. But you don't have to do it here because they've done pretty much that stuff for you. The H here, again, same thing. All I needed was, and you did that yourself on your model, only you took each one of these and put it into a separate folder, and that's, you don't have to do that. It just adds a bunch of wasted space into people's memory, into people's computer storage areas that they don't need to be wasting. But anyway, let's see, back out again. I want to go into the X. Okay, that's the standard stuff. I think medkit, because of they've changed inside of some of those different items they used inside the aircraft. That's why it has different. It's got some different files in here for this variant of the aircraft that it needs, like the medical kit. And the decals are different. That's what that's all about. Some of the let's see, emissives are different, so that's why it has more files in there. The X model, same thing. There's no extra files, but it tells it has to go into Got Friends main area and look up the 80, and then it has to go to the 35 to get all of its base files, and then it goes to the 80 PZL to get files, and then it's got to go also to the 35A PZL to get some of the files. So this is just telling it where those files are located. Let me try to find. Bear with me here. This may take me a minute. I'll go back into mods. Let's go to mods. No, I don't want mods. I want liveries. Liveries. The Husky. I need to find something that has a separate. Let's see. Something that has a separate. How about the DC3? Do I have something separate here? Let's see. Set objects, airplanes, textures. No, that's all in one file. So everything's there for that in both float and standard versions. So that's all contained into one. I'm looking for one here that has a different. I should have had this. How about the beaver? Does the beaver? This ain't mine, but we'll look. That's the bush. There we go. Floats. So here's one. This is not. Whose is this? Oh, this is one of mine. Okay. All right. We'll go back in here. This particular model, the beaver, has it has two variants. It has the standard wheeled version and it has the float version. So that's why there's, and then I have two versions of it in here. Let's see. The reason I have three versions in here is because I pulled in and combined a couple of others so that I didn't have to have separate packages. I'm just trying to alleviate space, and I know I'm never going to change that. So let me go back in here to the sim objects. Blackbird Sims, Bush, Floats, okay. Alright, that I think that's theirs. Alright, let's go back out of here and go to the other one and look at it. I think, let's see what I got here. Nope. Why am I going into the wrong things? Forestry Service. Did I grab the wrong one? No. I'm lost. Let's see. Alright, anyways, just to give you an idea, these aircraft each have two variants. So, actually three. There's a bush, a float, and a wheel. Okay, so if you go into, let's say, the bush, and we're going to open up the texture file, and that directs it to the main texture file folder, the bush texture folder for some stuff, and the wheel texture folder for some stuff. Alright, so we're going to go back out of here, and there's the wheel version. So it's got to go, the main files are in here. That's where the main texture files are at. This is mine, because those are my decals. I'm all confused. Sorry about that. I'm just going to open this up and take a look. Yeah, I modified this to mine because that's my logo that I created for this aircraft. And then I put Pratt Whitney on there and changed things up a bit. So yeah, this is mine. Close out of here. This has all the main texture files in here, including the floats. Alright? So if we go back to the floats, and I want to open this up, it's going to direct it. It's got a separate file. It's got a separate thumb picture, which I haven't changed, but it's going to direct it back. Let's see. That is going to direct it back to the main texture folder to find what it needs. This is a poor example. I got one in here. Let's go one more. I don't know if this will have it or not. Let's go down to the VGPs, Power Stole. Oh, let's see. How about the black checker? Alright. I'll tell you how old this is. These texture folders here. That's a real old AutoJSON folder that we had to use a long time ago, and it works a whole lot differently than the one now. But if I go in here, you see I have two different folders. I have a float and I have a checker. If I go to the checker, here you had to have the model CFG folder, and again it told it you had to go outside of this package and you had to find and go into their main package and get this is the Power Stole EXT exterior XML, and this is the Power Stole XML, which was the main, which is, I think that's the interior. Anyway, that's the only reason you had to have that in there, to tell it where to go. On the main textures, here's all the textures needed to assemble that whole thing. I believe, except for, see, frame. So we had engine frame, helmet, boots, hood, muffler, shirts, the tail. Alright. Now if I come out of here and I go to the floater, this should have, yep. See, this has the floats in it. The frame's a little bit different. I think I changed up the helmet. But these two versions, if I go back here to texture and go down to the, where is it? The texture CFG, it's going to go back to the main texture folder first. Then it's going to go here to the float texture folder. Then it's going to go into the main package, into the texture X and the texture X base. So if I was to go into community and go to aircraft, the main aircraft, and VGP, I think he's all the way down at the bottom. Yep. This is his main package. So if I go into this main package, into airplanes, see I have Power Stole floats here, texture X here, and texture X base here. So this telling it you need to go to these files, the X1 or the X and the X base, to get textures, and then you also need to go into the Power Stole floats to get textures, and it's probably floats texture base. Yeah, there's a texture base right here that I had to go to get information, and then the main texture, which is my black checkered. So that basically, I hope that explains to you the purpose of these texture folders. And like I said before, these here will mess you up. I mean, big time. Anything will mess you up, but usually this is where I mess up, because if I was to take this, like say this Power Stole floats, and I took out one set of these, it wouldn't know that it's got to go outside of this folder set to find the Power Stole floats and then find the texture base. So that's what these do. They tell it you got to go up 1 or up 2 or up 3 or 4 to get out of this and go find it somewhere else. So anyway, setting these up sometimes can be a pain in the ass. I usually start with just a blank. I'll put in that sim object and the airplane, get that structure down. I'll go to the main aircraft. If I was going to do, say, the Power Stole, I go back to the aircraft, or even let's do the Kit Speeder Stir. I'll go to the sim objects, airplanes, and just set it up the same way he has here with the Speedster and the Bush wheel. So I know I got to have these two folders. So I'll set up two folders with these names on it, and then you can go set up your individual files. That will be my structure. And then I'll go to the sim object, let's go to the Speedster, and I'll go down here to the, let's see, let's go up here, out, yeah, go take the manifest. The manifest is going to be the same. I just take and copy this file into my blank. I will get rid of this manifest, copy it in here. In fact, I could use this blank, just rename it, and then come in here and rename the airplanes and set up another folder here, or just I could just, for this matter, I could copy that and then just take this and make it blank 1. We'll go 1, and then I could make this blank 2, All right. So structurally, they're set up the same inside, and then I would have to go back in and set up and rerun the layout so that it picks up that extra one that I copied. And if I go back in here, I would just have to go down here and make sure that, let's see, I'd have to make sure I had blank 1 and blank 2. So I would name that like this would be blank 1, and then in my other one, if I go to 2, then this is going to be blank 2. So that's your basic setup, and then you go from there. Once you get the aircraft thing set up and the structure set up, the rest of it is making sure that that texture thing, CFG, matches where it needs to go. This is a basic. This says everything you need is in the main package. Then in a Zobos package, go find it. The blank textures that we need for this project are all contained within this package. You don't need to go outside of it. But all this other stuff, you do need to go outside of it. So, I think this has gotten a little too long. I'll let you go. You have fun. Enjoy life. If you need any help, I missed out on my keyboard practice today, but I'll make it up. Talk at you later. Bye.